Next up on the list, something that will be familiar to many, I assume, The Goonies.
Yes, The Goonies. Perhaps the most famous of the films we're covering today. Certainly one of the most highly regarded as a great kids movie. It had influence on Stranger Things, and the casting of Sean Astin, who plays lead Goonie Mikey in season 2 of Stranger Things, was clearly no coincidence. In coastal Oregon, a group of young friends known as the Goonies are contemplating the end of their time together as a local evil rich man is forcing the sale or seizure of their homes in order to build a golf course. Is a residential area covered in buildings and tarmac roads really the most viable spot for golf course conversion? These are the thoughts I have. Meaning that their gang will eventually be broken up. At the last hour, almost literally, they discover a treasure map supposedly leading to the final resting place of the booty of a pirate known as One-Eyed Willie, and decide to hunt it down in order to save their parents from mortgage default. The Goonies, Mikey, Chunk, Jeff Cohen, Mouth, Corey Feldman, and Data, Ki Hai Kwan, are joined in this endeavour by Mikey's older brother Brand, Josh Brolin, and considerably less willingly, two girls of Brand's age, Andy, Kerry Green, and Steph, Martha Plimpton. As if traversing tunnels, caverns and booby traps wouldn't be dangerous enough, getting that sweet, sweet pirate loot is complicated by the presence of a family of prison-escaping, FBI agent murdering, opera singing criminals. The Fratellis, Robert Davi, Joe Pantoliano and Anne Ramsey, who want to silence the Goonies and then snaffle the booty. The last time I watched the Goonies, a few years ago now, I had a distinct thought of, boy, for a beloved classic, this sure is crap. This time around, I found that I was quite enjoying it, for about 7.5 minutes. After which time I largely alternated between bored and irritated. Some of this I put down to not a great deal happening, which might fly for a child but not for me, but mostly was due to a lazy script and unlikable characters. Firstly, there's Sean Astin's Mikey, who begins as a whiny wee git too afraid to go into the attic because his mum said not to. However, on finding the map, he's suddenly the driving force in urging his friends to risk their lives in search of unlikely treasure, though at no point does he stop being a whiny wee git. Then we have Corey Feldman's Mouth, perhaps my biggest character problem with the film, a smart-ass bullying wee prick who I spent altogether too much time wishing would fall to his death on a particularly pointy stalagmite. And Jeff Cohen's Chunk, the dumb, clumsy fat kid, well, because of course he is, whose entire character motivation is hungry.
Drew, you're not suggesting that Chris Columbus is a hack, are you? I think you might be.
Scott, do you want?
And I'm on board with that, just to be clear.
Do you want to know exactly what adjective I have put in front of Chris Columbus's name in the next paragraph I've written? Following such lazy stereotyping, naturally the Asian kid is the geeky inventor, and the girls, well, they scream, don't they? Because that's what girls do. There seems a constant tension, or perhaps conflict, between director Richard Donner's attempts to create an action-adventure movie and hack screenwriter Chris Columbus's script, and his love of slapsticky cartoonish ideas. Some of that may fly in Home Alone, though even in that film the skeleton definitely oversteps the mark. But here, things like being saved from death by wind-up teeth is constantly at odds with the gun-toting, law enforcement murdering Fratellis, and Josh Brolin being forced to travel at 40 miles per hour on a bike, then dispatched down a hillside. The biggest problems definitely come from the script, including some really hokey dialogue, but it's certainly not helped by the headaches induced by a good 50%, if not more, of the film being yelled, often by several characters at once. A bafflingly popular and well-regarded film that merits none of it.
Yeah, I unfortunately agree. This one I'm sure I have somehow avoided. I do not think I'd seen a frame of this before watching it just the other week there. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
It's a bad film.
But I thought, right, to be fair, I was watching it on a flight. It's not ideal conditions. I'll give it another go. So I did just listen last week.
Crikey, Scott.
I didn't hate it as much, but I still hated it. And to be honest, I'd be really just rehashing much of what you said there. Characters, yeah, didn't like them they're all very one note, one key. This was kind of what I was alluding to earlier with Macchio's characters. I was thinking exactly of this film, because it's like you've taken Ralph Macchio's character in The Karate Kid and split it through a prism into about 5 different characters, none of who are even remotely strong enough to hold to become a character by themselves.
Yeah, but the word character itself is a bit of a stretch to describe these people.
Yes, and most of them are just annoying. I like Sean Astin recently, but I don't like him here.
I actually like him a lot in Stranger Things.
Yes.
I really like him as Bob.
I've not seen him in a lot of things over the past few decades, but almost everything that I have seen him in, I have liked him in. Not just Lord of the Rings, but everything else I've seen. He is perfectly fine, but he's not here. Again, I think that's just the character.
Even as like the ridiculously roided up brother to Drew Barrymore in 50 First Dates, a ridiculous card, but I actually like him in that bit. Yeah, here, no.
Yes, I don't get it. He's almost got the same character problem as Ben Affleck's character in Triple Frontier from our last podcast, didn't he? It's a sudden arbitrary change of character from...
That makes no sense.
Yeah, no sense at all. And Corey Feldman, I was just hoping he would be launched into the sun. Just, no.
Yeah,
every time it's on
horrible.
there.
He's a cruel and nasty little git. He's torturing somebody who's meant to be his friend. I have no time for that. It's horrible.
Yeah. When I watched it again, I think I managed to disassociate myself from it a little bit more, and there's things happening in the script that I should like. I should be entertained by all of this, but I just wasn't, and I think that's just because I didn't like any of the characters in it. I didn't really care about any of them, and it was annoying me. Yeah, so I just couldn't bring myself to really enjoy much of it. It seems like it should be a fun romp, and I guess I can see why people would like it if they're not as annoyed by the characters as I was, but I just couldn't get past that hurdle. And
I assume deaf people could have a much better time with this film, because they wouldn't have to stop every 2 minutes. Would you stop yelling, for the love of God? Please stop screaming.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add to it. Chris Columbus has, I think, done almost no films that I like, despite his long career. I mean, I guess the closest I would come to say that he's done a film that I liked was Home Alone, and pretty much the rest of his career has been a lot of stuff that I just don't understand why anyone could possibly like.
I love Gremlins, and I've always loved Gremlins, but I think Joe ignored most of his script, at least in terms of the... there are kind of cartoonish bits in that, but they fit much more, certainly more than they do here.
Yeah.
Gremlins is a kind of slightly fantastical thing anyway.
Yeah, I always forget about Gremlins, but
that's for the most part.
There's nothing else here that I would want to see.
Definitely the worst Harry Potter films. Again, with his love of the cartoonish stuff in there that just does not fit with the tone of the rest of the film. Yeah.
And even Richard Donner, I think but he's done a lot of films that I really like. Obviously, Lethal Weapon, Superman, Omen, Scrooged, and tons of films that I like. But this is just not one of them, and I don't understand how it's gone quite so bad. There seems to be enough talent sort of around it that it should have been really good, but no.
It really does seem to be like a conflict between his interpretation and the script. Like, the two don't go together at all.
Yeah,
And even then, there's just the tonal things in it. There's like this poor, brain damaged. I don't want to use the word freak, but I think it would be you'd understand what I meant by that if you've not seen the Goonies. But who is kept chained up as an animal, and he finds out later that it's because his mother dropped him on his head as a baby a couple of times. Yeah. Oh, how funny! And that's horrific.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's really odd stuff in there. So, yes, the Goonies is trash.
Yeah. And if you like it, you're a bad person.
Right. But we have strong thoughts on these things.